auction block, but the reality is I still have a debt I can't pay. But God is going to work it out. I just have to say, what are you doing? But you know what the process is here? Is, are you going to trust me? Are you going to trust me? The question is, are you going to trust me? Say that out loud. Are you going to trust me? Hey, I wish he would do things the way I want him to do, because it seems so simple. My plan seems extremely simple. God, you be God, and I'm not. But the reality is, we have to do what? What does it say in Matthew 6? It says, so I tell you, don't worry. Say that out loud with me. Don't worry. Be anxious about what? Nothing. And in all things, give thanks. All right? So what are we having to do? We're having to retrain our mind. All right. It says here also, you cannot, this is what verse 26 says. I'm going to read verse 26 of Matthew 6. It says, and when you look further, he says, look at the birds in the air. They don't plant or harvest or store food in barns. But your heavenly Father feeds them, and you know that you are worth much more than birds. And, birds are not real bright. Have you ever figured that out? They don't do a whole lot. They don't get up and go to work in the morning. They don't have a beeper. They don't have a cell phone. They don't have a computer. They don't have any of those things. They're not hardwired to life. They're not worried about, where is their next tree going to come from, where they're going to land, and where they're going to be. And I think that's so interesting that God chose an animal that has such a small brain. Okay? That he's comparing us to it. All right? But you know what? When we worry, we are seeing God. You know what we're saying when we worry? And I'm preaching to the choir here because I'm the worry wart in our house, okay? But you know what we do when we worry? We're declaring that God is only as big as us. Yeah. And that's a scary thought. God is greater. God is bigger than anything that we can imagine. God can do exceedingly, abundantly, above and beyond anything that we can ask or think. But the reality is, we have to work, we have to move forward. We can't just fall down on the ground and pretend like, oh, I can't, I give up. We can't do that either, because giving up is not faith. Say that out loud. Giving up is not faith. All right. So, look at this. You cannot add any time to your life by worrying about it. That's verse 27. My Lord, if I had a minute for every minute that I worried added to my life, I would probably live to be 500 years old. Because I've done some worrying in my life. All right? But the reality is, and you need to write this down, anxiety grows in proportion to our security, our insecurity. All right? Anxiety grows in proportion. It grows proportionately to whether we have security, the level of our security. If we don't have any security, we worry all the time. Okay? If we don't have any security, we can't sleep, we can't eat, we can't think straight without that anxiety jumping right in the middle of the road and going, think about me, obsess about me, it's all about me. And the reality is, when we have security, our anxiety level goes down. So, I'm asking you, can you add an hour to your life? Can you make yourself I'm not even saying a whole inch taller, but let's just going to read this, and then we're going to get on to being whiplashed again. Motivational speaker Earl Nightingale, he once famously compared worry to a fog. Now, we have a lot of fog here in South Louisiana, don't we? I mean, you can wake up and it's foggy. You know, last week there was so much fog at one point. I told Jerry, I said, and the strange part about it is you can be driving in the fog and you get down about 4 blocks and then it's completely clear. But if you'd have asked me 4 blocks before if the city was going to be foggy, I would have said yes. Because I was judging it by the fog that I was in. So, this is the deal. Earl Nightingale says this. A dense fog covering 7 city blocks to a depth of 100 feet is composed of something less than 1 glass of water. Categorizing our common worries, he said, excuse me, 40% of the things we worry about never happen. And additionally, 30% are things that happened in the past. Do you know that your worry is propelled by your past experiences? Did you get that? So what jades you, what taints your thoughts about the future is so many times what you've lived through in the past. If you've lived with an insecurity of relationships in your life all the way growing up, what happens when you have just this anxiety or fear in a relationship that you're in presently? What do? You judge that present relationship by what's happened to you in the past. Because that's all you have inside of you to draw from. So that's what you pull up. And you begin reliving that all over again. 30% of that. Okay. All right. Needless concern about our personal health occupies 12% of our worries. And 10% of our worries are petty and miscellaneous items. Wow. All right. You want me to give you those percentages again? Are you writing these down? You need to write these down. This is so cool. All right. This is 40% of things we worry about never happen. 30% are things that just happened in our past. And how many know you can't change the past? It's done. It's finished. You know what? God never gave directions on the past, did he? When you talk about your past, he doesn't go, well, you know what? When you were 17, you should have gone this way. You know? No, I mean, the past is what? It's past. It's over with. It's over with. It's behind you. But the good news is you have today. He said his mercies are renewed towards you daily, every morning. All right, needless concerns. So we've got the 40%, the 30%. Needless concern about our personal health occupies 12%. And 10% of our worries are petty and miscellaneous. In other words, 92% of our worries are pure fog, with no substance at all. That leaves 8% of our worries as legitimate matters worthy of our concern. Oh my goodness. So next time your friend is like wringing their hands and, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Just say, well, look, all that you're worried about right now, only about 8% is possible. Everything else is just anxiety. What did I tell you? Anxiety always grows in proportion to your level of security. If you don't feel secure, you're going to be what? Filled with anxiety. God says, put your trust in him. Don't start doing the averages. How many of y'all do averages? Well, let's see. We could possibly make it till Friday. Or, I don't know. It may not work till Friday. Things maybe only last till Thursday. And we start averaging out time. We're averaging out our finances. We're averaging out situations. Listen to me. Stop it. All of that is not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to dig a deeper hole for you to stay in. So whiplash. All right. So whiplash is, definition again, Teresa, it's with force. You're doing what?
Accelerating
momentum. That's what we call it today. We're going some momentum. We've got a little savings in our bank account. You know, everything is just humming along, and everything is doing good. And then what happens? We get thrown back. But you know what? The force of what we were going forward with is the same force that will pull us back. And it only recoils, and it does that. It throws us forward and then it pulls us back again. It does this with us. And that's what happened to Joseph. Joseph in the Bible, as you know, he was the kid that was the favorite of his daddy. Do y'all remember that? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I don't know about you, but I can totally relate to Joseph because I was my daddy's darling, okay? And my brothers were so much older than me that I had one brother that was 15 years older than me and one that was 13 years older than me. So they were like another pair of daddies, okay? They weren't competing for dad's attention with me. But I can remember being my daddy's darling, and it showed everywhere. I mean, my daddy, every day he would come home with a gift after work. It could be a bag of potato chips. It could have been a stick of gum. It could have been I got the change out of his pocket. But every day was a celebration. Every day was fun. I looked forward to my daddy coming home. I couldn't wait till I would sit, because I knew what time he got off in the afternoon, and I would sit in our front room waiting to hear his car pull up in the driveway, because my daddy was home. Well, the same excitement that I had, my daddy shared, because when he came in the house, if I wasn't right there, that was the first words out of his mouth, is, "Where are you?" That's how God loves you. Are you waiting on God? Are you distracted with life? Are you really waiting, saying, "God, I'm waiting for you to move, even in my distress and even in my concern about what I'm facing"? Are you still waiting for him? But Joseph was the favorite, and his dad, oh my goodness, his dad brought him that coat. Oh my Lord. If he could have just dropped the coat, Joseph may have not had half as much problem. Okay? But it was a gorgeous coat. Joseph loved the coat. It was from his wonderful daddy. What did he want to do? He wanted to wear the coat. And his brothers went, bleh. Barf. Joseph. He gets everything. It never mentions in the scriptures that dad compensated for the other sons, did he? Never said that he gave him a portion of land, or he gave Joseph a beautiful coat of many colors, but he gave Reuben